The house smelled like smoke and lemon cleaner. Amara Johnson stood at the edge of the living room, her small hands shaking. She clutched the doorknob so tightly that her fingers hurt, but she couldn't let go. In front of her, the scene was frozen like a nightmare caught between breaths. Her mother lay on the floor, unmoving, and her stepfather Charles was standing above her, breathing hard, his fists clenched. His shirt was stained, not with blood, but with sweat, anger, something darker. His eyes flicked to Amara, and for one terrible second they stared at each other across the room. "You saw nothing," Charles said. His voice was low, dangerous. Amara wanted to scream, she wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. Instead, she whispered, "Mom?" No answer. Her mother's body stayed still, twisted strangely on the carpet. Charles took a step toward her. "I said you saw nothing." The world tilted. Amara stumbled back, turned, and fled up the stairs. Behind her, she heard the click of a lighter. The smell of gasoline followed. He was going to burn it. Burn the house, burn the evidence, burn everything. Her heart slamming in her chest, Amara climbed out her bedroom window and dropped into the cold night. She ran barefoot down the dark street, not stopping until she reached Mrs. Palmer's porch, 3 houses away. When Mrs. Palmer opened the door, Amara could barely get the words out. "Help, my mother, Charles ... The fire department arrived too late. The house was in flames, roaring high into the black sky. Amara watched from the back seat of a police cruiser, a scratchy blanket around her shoulders. The officers whispered to each other, looking at her like she was something broken. Charles sat on the curb, a fake bandage on his arm. He cried loudly for everyone to hear. "She was cooking late. The stove caught fire. I tried to save her." Liars always shouted the loudest. Amara wanted to scream the truth. She wanted to tell them that Charles had killed her mother, that it wasn't an accident. But every time she opened her mouth, fear closed her throat. What if no one believed her? She was just a kid. And Charles, he was a war veteran, a good man, everyone said. The town loved him. He coached Little League. He volunteered at church. Who would they believe? Not the little black girl whose father had abandoned her, whose mother had too many problems. Amara squeezed the blanket tighter. She knew one thing. She would not let her mother's death be erased. The next few days blurred together. Police asked questions, but not the right ones. Social workers showed up, but only cared if Amara was safe. Charles spun his story perfectly. He had fallen asleep in the living room. He woke to smoke. He tried to rescue her mother, but it was too late. Case closed. Amara stayed silent, watching from the sidelines, feeling herself shrink smaller and smaller. She moved in temporarily with Mrs. Palmer, but the old lady wasn't strong enough to protect her forever. Charles visited often, smiling too wide, giving her gifts she didn't touch. "You're all I have left now," he said once, his hand heavy on her shoulder. "We have to stick together, right?" Amara flinched. That night, she made a decision. She would find proof. She would bring him down. In the ruins of the burned house, Amara returned. The police had cleared it. No one cared anymore, but she cared. Wearing gloves, she dug through the ashes of her mother's room. She found the metal box her mother kept hidden under the bed. Inside was a diary, charred around the edges but still readable. Amara flipped through it, her heart hammering. Page after page, her mother wrote about Charles, his sudden temper, the bruises she hid, the threats. The night she wrote, "If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident." There it was, evidence. Amara sat on the hard wooden bench of the courtroom, the diary clutched to her chest like a shield. Charles sat across the room, clean-shaven in a suit, smiling sweetly at the jury. The lawyer leaned down to her. "Are you ready?" "Number." But she nodded anyway. When she took the stand, her knees shook. The courtroom blurred on faces, lights, noise. She closed her eyes for a second, breathing deep. And then she spoke. About the night, about her mother's fear, about the threats. She read the pages of the diary aloud. She told them how Charles had tried to burn everything, including her. The defense lawyer attacked. She's just a scared little girl. She's confused. Maybe she started the fire herself. Amara didn't cry. She just looked straight into the juror's eyes and said, "I saw him kill her." Silence fell over the room like a heavy blanket. The trial stretched for weeks. Whispers filled the town. People picked sides. Some still defended Charles. Some started believing her. The final day, Amara sat holding Mrs. Palmer's hand so tight her knuckles turned white. The jury filed in. The foreman stood. "We find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder." The words didn't seem real. They floated in the air, bright and sharp. Charles exploded, shouting curses, struggling as guards dragged him away. Amara sat frozen. She had won. But the victory tasted like ashes. After the trial, Amara stood alone outside the courthouse. Everyone kept telling her she was brave, a hero. But she didn't feel like a hero. She felt hollow. She missed her mother's laugh. She missed warm Sunday mornings. She missed being a kid who didn't know what real evil looked like. The sun was setting, painting the sky red. Amara looked down at her hands. They were small. They were trembling. Blood on her hands. Not because she had killed anyone, but because she had survived. And surviving had cost her everything. Amara closed her eyes and whispered to the wind, "I saw everything. And I remember. And I'm still here." Then she picked up her backpack, turned toward the long road home and walked forward. Not a victim, not a child, but a survivor. Forever.